Namaste and welcome on behalf of Virat Hindustan Sangam to our Sunday edition of Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom. As you know, we have two regular programs in the week. We have the Saturday legal words of wisdom, Nyay Gyan Ganga at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and we have our Sunday regular program of Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom. Both programs, Dr. Subramanian Swamy interacts on each different topic. Today's topic is the current state of coronavirus pandemic, past mistakes and future prospects, and we will be discussing why Air India should not be privatized. I have with me my co-host, Dr. Arvind Chaturvedi from Delhi and Ramesh Swamy. And I also thank our technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Vishal Mehta from Mumbai, Ishwar Iyer from Navi Mumbai, Tejas from Pune, Swaminathan from Chennai, and our friend Rakesh Gadgi from Karnataka for their support and helping us put this program together. So, with this opening remarks, I wish to remind our viewers that our programs are available on YouTube, on Twitter, Periscope, on other social media channels like Instagram and Facebook, and you can always watch the recorded version available on YouTube at your convenience. But I thank our viewers across the globe for their support on Saturday and Sundays for viewing this program with Dr. Subramanian Swamy. So, with these remarks, I also wish to inform you that after the legal Gyan Ganga program comes to an end, perhaps after 7 to 8 weeks, we'll be starting another series known as Arth Gyan Ganga, Economic Words of Wisdom, by which you can participate very soon. For registered members, those who are interested, we'll be having a program of learning of Sanskrit online. These are some of the projects of Virat Hindustan Sangam. So, with these opening remarks, it is over to Dr. Subramanian Swamy for the two topics which we are going to discuss, the coronavirus and the Air India. So, I request Dr. Swamy to give us an insight of these two topics, and we'll have a discussion thereafter. Thank you and welcome all.
Well, thank you, Jagdish, Ramesh, and Arvind. I think I'll start with Air India and then conclude with Corona. Air India, I want to give a brief history because people should know there's a lot of make-believe that has come with Air India. So it was, started by J.R.D. Tata. And J.R.D. Tata did not have any children. And so the Tata households, they went to an orphanage and where Parsi children were there, those who were orphaned. And they picked up one who's there. Later on, they gave it the name Naval Tata, and he grew up to become a director. And his son was Ratan Tata. So, when the people say Tata, 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 first of all, don't like all this family business. As if one family, if they will continue to have the same talent long generations. But anyway, I just want to make a point that please don't go on quoting Tata, Tata, Tata. That Tata, as we have said Tata too long time ago. So in 1932, J.R.D. Tata started an airline, which was called Tata Airlines. And this Tata Airlines, after functioning in 1946, it was renamed by J.R.D. as Air India. And then not only they flew domestic flights, but they also started international flight, and the first flight to London was in 1948. So, I mean, they are, in a sense, the Air India started as a kind of a pioneer. And we certainly were very proud of it, that India, which is a backward country and all, we have been brainwashed by the British. So at that time, we all thought, and I was a little boy who used to be very excited just to go to the airport to see a Air India plane land and take off. By 1953, there were other private airlines, in fact, 8 in all. And then over a period of time, this socialism, which Jawaharlal Nehru introduced in the second 5-year plan, and the Soviet variety, they started nationalizing banks, not banks, insurance, and so many other things. And then in 1962, they nationalized all the airlines, all 9 airlines, and named it with the name of Air India. So Air India became the amalgam of all airlines and in government ownership. But then the government asked Tata to be the chairman of the board. And for till I think 1979, till the Janata came, I think Moraji wanted some change. So Tata went out and somebody else came. And then the airline, after that, began to grow. And it had grown to make profit quite substantially. So, and in 2004, they made, a 15% rate of return on their capital, which was very good. But after 2004, it started sinking. And that's a thing you need to know why. Let me go back a little and say, and Jagdish will remember this, Arvind will also remember this because you were with me in my Commerce Ministry office. In 1990, I thought that why we should have only a nationalized airline. Let there be a competition. Let's have private airlines. And despite a lot of resistance, we managed to give. I prevailed, and ultimately the government gave a license to something called East West Airlines, then Moody Luft, and so on. Quite a few came. Most of them have disappeared since then. But over a period of time, many private airlines came, Jet Air, now Indigo, and then similar thing like Go Airlines. There have been now about 5 or 6 private airlines. So, but in that time, when I was Commerce Minister, we said this should be a purely Swadeshi thing, and we will not have any foreign airlines because airlines is a part of national security. Because when you have a purely Indian airline, there are many things that you transport, have letters delivered, spies sent under incognito. So you can't have a foreign airline for that, or an airline which is not subject to a purview of the government. So I thought the best thing to do is to simplify and say no foreign direct investment. So there was no foreign direct investment till 2012. And in 2012, the UPA government brought in brought a decision through the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs to say that FDI can be taken by Indian airlines, but the condition would be that foreign airlines can give money up to 49% of the shares to existing Indian airlines. And the reason the UPA did it is because Jet Air was having financial problems. And so they decided that why not allow foreign direct investment in Jet Air? So Etihad came in, and that's how it became. Now, the problem also was that because Air India was, without any, competition, it was a single all India government-owned airline. You found that that corruption began to get big. In fact, in 1998, it was 2001, the MD of Air India, called Michael Mascarenhas, he was accused of siphoning out 57 crore rupees, and he was prosecuted. So the word began to go around that the Air India is getting corrupt and so on, and the government is not getting its due money, and the Air India is also not showing enough profit, although it was showing profit even then. So Atal Bihari Vajpayee set up a committee. He was his prime minister. Set up a committee under Naresh Chandra committee, and Naresh Chandra committee ended up in 2003 recommending that all these Air India be privatized. So that's how it started that way. But within a short period, in 2004, April, or May, the BJP lost power, or the MDA lost power, and UPA came to power. Now, UPA did not implement this recommendation, but their civil aviation minister began doing all kinds of things. One of the things, and of course, he must have done it on the direction of Ms. Sonia Gandhi, because she was the one who was directing all these policies on an ad hoc basis. And first thing he did was the profitable routes that Air India used to fly on make the money. Because Air India used to subsidize also, because we had to take, for instance, if it landed in Northeast, it's a long journey, and it becomes very expensive for them to come. So there used to be a subsidization of that. Like that, flying to Dubai, where the Indian workers, the labor, which used to go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and so on. So the Air India was partly subsidizing tickets, and but the question became that because of these reports of corruption, there was always an issue: why not privatize? Why not privatize? But the UPA did not agree to privatizing, but they used the Air India to, in my opinion, make money, because there is a CBI inquiry, ongoing CBI inquiry. When there was no need, they purchased some 111. They put in an order for 111 Boeings. These 778, the latest ones, or 777, and so there was no use for these. Because they were cutting on profitable routes, and the routes were getting less and less. And at the same time, you're buying planes. It appeared to me that they bought it for payment. For getting bribes. And the best way to find out whether there was a bribe is, by then, there were private airlines, and private airlines like Go and the Indigo, they were buying planes. So when the government of India bought from Airbus in France planes, they were paying 20% more than these private companies were paying. So for the same plane and around the same time. So it was clear, and so the CBI inquiry started with a lot of fanfare, but I don't know what settlement has taken place or what. The CBI has gone silent. It hasn't proceeded with that case. So now, therefore, Air India losing profitable routes. They went to Etihad, they went to Emirates, they went to XY Airlines. And so, for instance, the Dubai traffic was a tremendously profitable traffic for Indians, because most of the Indians are going to work there and coming back home, and they would prefer India. So Etihad and Emirates, they got routes allotted to them, and Air India's routes were cut down. Going to Australia was cancelled. Like that, a whole lot of things were done to reduced the profit of Air India, and therefore Air India went into loss for the first time in 2006, and then it has been in loss since then, piling up debts and so on. So Air India is a public sector, is bound to lose. It's all rubbish. It was making profit throughout, and it had a tremendously good name. And the Indians loved it because, there some people would come with their parents, and their parents, would be fish out of water if there's a foreign staff on the airline, whereas Air India would have Indian food and so on. So Indians, by and large, who were going abroad were using Air India. So therefore, the Air India's loss was an induced loss, and that was because of collecting bribes. And consequently, this halal process, we found that by the time all these profitable routes were removed, Air India was flying in 370 routes, but of which only 9 were making profits. Everything was losing. Every other route was losing, naturally, because the profitable routes were the ones that were making up for the losing routes. And Air India was, in fact, in that sense, they did a halal to Air India. So in 2012, surprisingly, for reasons which are very strange reasons, the UPA government decided that foreign airlines can invest in Indian Airlines. And in my opinion, the reason they did it, and I got this from horse's mouth, because one of my students at Harvard had become vice president in one of these foreign airlines, and he got an opportunity to invest in Jet Air. And so a policy was made that foreign airlines only can invest in Indian airlines which are operating. So Jet Air was operating, so they could take it. There was nothing illegal in that. But the reason for designing this for passage in the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs was that I had in the Supreme Court gone and got the 2G licenses, first come, first served basis, cancelled. So all the licenses allotted were cancelled, and the court directed auction it. So a lot of bribes were given in that. And there were 9 companies, 9 industrialists who had got the spectrum. I'm now going in the question of the telecom. They got the spectrum at 1/10 the price in the market price. So having got it, and they are unqualified to get it. For instance, Shahid Balwaz, he was running a great friend of a great lieutenant of Dawood Ibrahim. He was, of course, in all kind of real estate business in Bombay, but he set up a company for telecom, and it was called Swan or something, and he got the license. Similarly, Unitech, which is also a building company, they got licenses. They had not even a single telegraph pole, nothing. But Raja, on the instructions of Miss Sonia Gandhi, they gave them licenses. Tata also got license in that. And he having got the license, what did they do? They went and sold it to foreign companies. It was illegal to do that, but who's going to question it? So you get it at 1/10 the price, and then you sell it at 1/8 the price. And so for the foreign companies which buy, for instance, Swan told it to Etisalat, then Telenor, Norwegian, then Tata sold part of their license to some Japanese company, I forget its name, and then the Russians also bought one from Birlas. So all the 9 companies got it cheap, 1/10 the price, and then by paying 1/8 of the price. The foreign companies bought it. It was cheap for them also, and we could start paying 10 times. And then these people who got the license, they got the profit. So 1,76,000 crores were lost for the country. If India had auctioned it at that time, instead of giving it on first come first basis, we would have 1,76,000 crores. Since then, after the auction, every year the government of India gets 4 lakh crores, 5 lakh crores, which is as big as the money you get from income tax. So that's why I argued that income tax can be abolished, because now you got a substitute. But government wanted this also and that also, so they have not agreed to abolish the income tax. So what I am saying is that these companies came up, and now none of them were, Etisalat and all they lost it. And so Etisalat was very angry. He said, "Where's my bribe? Please return it." So to compensate them, according to me, they came up with this, that you can enter India by another route, and you will get a big fat concession, and that is putting money into Jet Air. And they were on the process of buying Jet Air, and just swallowing Jet Air, but it is stopped. It is in that context Mr. Tata suddenly entered the picture. But he was not an existing airline. He was not an existing foreign airline. But what we found was Tata invested in a foreign airline, Airasia, Singapore Airlines, which is now called Vistara. That's totally illegal, because Tata is not a foreign airline, and Airasia and Singapore Airlines are not Indian airlines. So how did this take place? So I went to court. Now, I went to the time when UPA was in power. So what I found is I couldn't get stay, but I got notice issued. And then after that, CBI inquiry. After that, enforcement directorate. Because to clear this project, you had to go through the FIPB, and Chidambaram was the minister, and Chidambaram illegally, authorized or approved these routes, and Tata became, from individual, he became an owner of an airline, and and Airasia, which has been now in a mess, and Tata might want to buy it for a song, and you have Vistara also. Now, having got this, now Tata is having problems, because both these in Singapore Airlines are very strict airlines. Tata is getting nothing out of it, and furthermore, he's got a court case going on mine, which is an advanced stage, and which may lead to a cancellation. And as far as the Airasia is concerned, it is completely gone to junk. So therefore, they were now looking to get something else, and that's how their greedy eyes fell on Air India. And our government, for some reason, decided to put out bids. I started saying, I'll go to court. So they went on making terms in such a way that these people couldn't buy. So now they are simplifying it. Earlier on, they said government will retain 24% of the shares, 2018. And in 2020, they're saying no, 100%. 100% of the shares of Tata's, of Air India will go to whoever buys. And in the bidders, they've put in such conditions that, in my opinion, only Tata's can qualify. And there's some interrupt or something, there's no chance. Nobody else is coming, because Air India is not going to be run by Tata's, I'm telling you. They will sell it, because Air India is wealthy on what basis? Because they're an ancient, one of the earliest airlines. So Heathrow, they got aero bridges. They bought aero bridges in those days. It was cheap. And today, the aero bridges cost millions of dollars. And so they will sell that. They've got hangars in about 100 countries, Air India. And all those are very, very valuable. They'll sell that. Then all these routes which are left over, they are already, many of these airlines are flying in it. Now they'll get Indians to fly in it. Etihad, for example, already, if you want to go to America, and I know Jagdish has personal experience of traveling that way, you go first to UAE and Dubai or the other Abu Dhabi, and then you go through the American customs there, and then catch a Etihad or a Emirates aircraft to America. So most of the Indian traffics which used to go by Air India straight to America, now started going there that way. And once Air India is wound up or it becomes inoperative, then of course all these airlines will have a gala time. So I'm saying, why are we doing this? Airlines is a business that we have shown that we can make profit. And there are a number of suggestions on how it can again make profit. But the government is insistent on selling it. And I think they want to please Tata. That's all I can say. Because every time Tata says, no, this condition won't do this condition, they remove that condition. And then again start the process of calling for bids. And so I think this is one reason why I'm against it. The second reason I'm against it is that, we have a lot of national security work to be done where your agents have to fly off at short notice. Now, this time when the Indians were all stranded, did any foreign airlines come and say, we'll bring them? Even our Indian domestic airlines did not offer. But Air India went and brought them, went to Wuhan and brought them. And they are very experienced pilots, and they are in big demand. I mean, it's not that they'll all be unemployed. The other airlines will all pick them up. And so we have trained them. We have, they have gotten vast experience. And now you're suddenly going to, where is the valuation for that? No valuation. They are treating Air India as junk and pricing it at junk prices. So I think with the view of the fact that there's a CBI inquiry against the Tatas, there is an enforcement directorate against Tatas, there is a challenge on Airasia and Vistara on my petition, I don't think that Tata should be allowed to bid because they are toxic, and the government of India should have disqualified them. But I don't think this is going to happen. And we are going to lose a national airline which could have served a lot of national security purposes too. In emergency also, Air India. Our Prime Minister also takes Air India plane and goes and uses Air India pilots. So you'll have to now start getting some people from the Air Force to fly him out. And so I think this is a very, very bad deal. It's a favorite deal based on favoritism. It's against national interest, and therefore I will say that that this deal should be thoroughly opposed. I am a free market man. I want market economy. I'm not in favor of the public sector, but it doesn't mean that I want all public sector removed and everything laissez-faire, and everything is done in the bazaar. No. There are some social objectives to be met. And for that, we need government institutions. I can't say tomorrow privatize defense because it's costing a lot of money. So we will call for bids and ask the Americans or the Chinese or the Russians to come and take over army and Air Force and Navy. I can't do that. So Air India is an essential part of our national security. And therefore, we must keep it. All this talk of it being not there, you're incompetent, you can't make Air India produce profit, then your incompetence should be called into question, and not that Air India is a weight on you. It's is bleeding you and all that. That argument I don't believe this. So in substance, this is my case. I am prepared my petition. I'm just waiting for the bids to take place, and then I'll see what is to be done. Now, shall I go to the other one, or
do you want? How do you want to do this, Dr. Swamy? Do you want to take questions now, or finish it and take questions together?
I think
I wait, I think, because I think I've exhausted almost half an hour. So questions may be, and questions, and you people also may have opinions.
No, so let's do this. You complete Corona, and then we'll ask together, Dr. Swamy.
All right, okay. So as far as Corona is concerned, as of yesterday, the number of cases of Corona are still increasing, but at a slower and slower rate, which is called deceleration. It's decelerating. And that's a good thing. And it has happened since September 15th, incidentally, my birthday. Something happened because of that. I'm saying that the turnaround has not been reversed. And as it used to be in August, every week, 20 lakh cases, then it increased to 30 lakh cases, and then in the first week of September, it went to 40 lakh cases, and since then it has been reducing, and now this last 1 week, it has been only 10 lakhs. So it's going. Now, will there be a second round, third round? These are speculations. I won't go into it, but I will say nothing to worry, because I think we have got vast experience. We got a lot of immunity. And you must remember that when the influenza epidemic came in 1918, it devastated. Millions of people died. But after that, flu virus has been tamed. So therefore, at that time, it looked as if the end of the earth is coming. If you go and read the newspapers of that time, you can go to any library and get to see it. You'll see doom and so on. It led also to depression after that in American economy. People had to stand in queues, long queues, to get one bowl of soup. That kind of situation was there. But now over a period of time, we have conquered flu in the sense that it comes, you know how to take care of it. So I think this Corona is also something new. It's no use blaming the Chinese, because the Indians are also part of the research. So are the Americans. And in Nagaland, with the bats, again, the Tatas got into that. The Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, of which the chairman is Mr. Ratan Tata, they, without taking government permission, they went into and did research, joint research with the Wuhan University and the U.S. Army in Nagaland. And when I was, as a member of the Standing Committee on Health and Family Planning, when I raised a question and I asked the officials, that did you take permission? They said, well, anyway, the project is over. So, in other words, they didn't take the permission. And that's the arrogance of this Ratan Tata, which we need to puncture. So, I can't say this is the Chinese trick on us, because we were participants. Even in Wuhan, we were there as observers. So, therefore, let's not get into that. Let's see how to conquer this. And right now, I have to say that our minister, Mr. Harshwats, needs to be complimented, because he is such a hard worker. Gets up 6 o'clock in the morning and he's out to work by 7. And he has been consistently dealing with issues, and in a very scientific way. He's also himself a doctor. So therefore, we have managed to get it into a downward declining curve. And I don't think that it's going to last very long. As of now, we have about, the total number of cases is about 1 crore. And the death toll is 1,45,000 136, which means the mortality rate is 1.45% only. It's the lowest in the world. And we are not able to capitalize on it and tell the whole world that without vaccine, nothing, and without all your in your advanced equipments and so on, we have in India managed to do it, and we are today have a mortality rate of only 1.45%. And even if the second wave comes, nothing to worry. We have probably got, many of us have got immunity. And second, we are aware what it means. And this social distancing and masks are 90% effective. I mean, you can't rely on it that, I'll go to and move in a crowd with a mask. Because they won't get any social distancing. Even with social distancing, a man coughs from air, it can spit and drop on you. That's why they say wash your hands regularly, gargle, and so on. These are things if you do. Jagdish gave me a gadget which you put water and then the electricity, and it starts boiling and generates steam in just 30 seconds. And you inhale in your nose. That's a very big thing, and I would strongly recommend that to anyone who wants to take preventive measures against corona. So the question now is, why is it in India the most educated states have the highest incidence rate? Kerala is on top of the list. After that, Tamil Nadu. These are two states which have almost 100% literacy. And Andhra, Karnataka, and UP is way down compared to them. In fact, UP mortality rate is only half that of Karnataka and a quarter of that of Maharashtra, which is also another developed state. So therefore, I would say that we have to understand that corona, there's some reason. In fact, the rural areas were not at all affected in the first 2 months. Then what happened? These migrant laborers went home, and they brought to the villages. So today villages have it. In fact, many places the rural areas are more than the urban areas, and that's because of this migration, the forced migration that took place. I think for future, we should not send the migrants back home. We should create a colony and keep them there. I mean, this can be done with sheds and things like that, and like we do in a war, and not let them go home, because then there's no way that they can practice all the precautionary steps. Now, the impact which has happened is that the economy has suffered. In the first quarter, after Modi in the last week, last 5 days before March ended, March 31st, which is the end of the financial year, he announced a lockdown. And the lockdown, say from April 1, April, May, June 30th, 3 months, that's a quarter. It's called the first quarter of the financial year. In the first quarter, our GDP declined by minus 23.9%. That means almost 24%. So a big drop. Now, to say that our economy is retarding because of corona is not entirely true. Why? Because if you take the first quarter of 2019-20, then the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter decline. If you take the previous year, 2017, same way decline. 2016, same way. So we came from 8% down to 3.1% in the last quarter of 2019-20. That is January, February, March. That's the last quarter. from April, the new quarter, new year's quarter, the first quarter starts. So we had already, due to bad economic policies, our growth rate was going down. And because of Corona, it went down very fast because everything got shut down. So I think in retrospect, although the people were disciplined and they complied with the request of the Prime Minister, I think we should have, first of all, we knew, I think our first casualty took place somewhere in Kerala in March itself, and March first week or something, and in the United States at the end of January. So we knew this is coming. So I think we should have around the 15th of March, at the very latest, the Prime Minister should have announced, in a week's time, I'm going to have a lockdown. So please make all the arrangements. So this disruption would not have taken place. And so that was one thing we have to learn for the future. The second thing is, as I said, the migrants shouldn't be allowed to go back to their villages. They should be set up in a camp and looked after there. Then the rural areas would not have been affected, and that would have made a big difference. Already, the rural areas, the effect was not so much. That's why the agricultural output is a bumper crop this year, thanks to the rain. But then the field workers and all, were all there as a result. So the economic effect of Corona has been devastating. It has been second quarter also, there's been minus growth rate. Government says minus 7.5. My estimate says minus 10. The former chief of statistics of the government of India, Mr. Pranab Sen, he also says 10. And next, the third quarter is going to be worse, not better. They say now everything's coming. Now we're seeing green shoots and a ray of sunlight and all that. All they're not correct, because so far the problem was excess demand and this excess supply and the demand not being sufficient. Now the supply is also all the inventories, everything have been exhausted. And so we are going to have a recession, and that has been admitted by government. I've been saying that for the last 2 months, prepare for recession. And the recession will lead to depression. That means you'll all be, it's going to be pretty bad unless, major economic changes are made. The finance minister says she's going to give the best budget in the history of India. Say it's not going to be easy because you have to understand the economic principles by which it can be rectified. I personally feel that any time such a thing happens in the past history of other countries, the first thing they did is empower people and put money. Ramesh is sitting here. Ask him, in the beginning, Trump's government was sending the salary of Americans, even though they were sitting at home. He sent the full salary into their bank accounts. So the economic effects in America has been much less than many other countries because of this thing. So these are some of the things that if we had done, then I think we need to, we must make sure the next time around we correct for it. And that's why I say Corona, India is to be complimented that we have such a low death rate. Maybe we have something intrinsic in us that we have suffered so many diseases that this is also something we have managed. But it has been done efficiently to the maximum extent. And I think we must do for that we can claim credit because we got the lowest death rate in the world. But still, we can't be complacent. And the economic effects of this Corona has been drastic. On a declining economy, it has been an economy which has been pushed down the chasm downhill. So we have to turn it around, and may take 2-3 years and maybe longer, or maybe you can have a crash. I can't say. Things don't look very good. You need very dynamic economic planning and economic policies, and I hope the government comes up with it.
So, Dr. Swamy, quick question from me. As far as Air India, let's first go there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a joke that the Tatas want to buy it because the Vistara their losses has jumped 93% in financial year 2019 to some 830 odd crores. I mean, how can you allow a company like that, which is making phenomenal losses, and plus the entire Tata group is bleeding?
Ramesh, let me make a correction. It is not 800 crores, it is 1400 crores.
Oh.
And you take all his foreign purchases, all gone, whatever that small box of cards that he was making in Gujarat, is all wound up.
Everything is a failure.
The Radia tape shows that even character-wise, he's a failure.
Because I don't understand, why would a government sell it to a company or a group which is making phenomenal losses? I mean, all they're buying this Air India is for then the assets. And the probable route, strip everybody, everything of this, and then that's what he's going to do, like a typical hedge fund guy.
And it will be illegal to do so in the first place. And two, the results are going to be very depressing.
So, so that, and plus, of course, they added that he is under the CBI ED scanner. I'm really shocked that he's been even allowed to bid.
Yeah.
Tatas are allowed to bid.
Yeah.
And that Airasia, that guy is also under investigation, right, Dr. Swamy?
Yeah, in Malaysia also he's under investigation. He's a racketeer, obnoxious fellow. And I think they've removed it, if I'm not wrong, now. Malaysia has taken a very negative view about Airasia. And it's all illegal. I mean, Airasia comes here, and Indians are investing in Airasia and flying inside India. The idea was originally that the Indian airlines, which are suffering for lack of funds, they should have an opportunity to bring funds from abroad. Mr. Tata could have invested in Jet Air if he wanted. Why did he do this? Because he knows that Jet Air and Indigo and others, if you offer them, they will put it through a microscope, and he's not used to that. I can't hear.
एयर इंडिया के बारे में आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं?
Hello.
I only want to make one comment. Ratan Tata, or Rotten Tata, as people refer to him, has started a campaign using his corporate money to spread disinformation. Could you tell us something about his role in the Nira Radia tapes, so that people know what was he doing even in the 2G scam? The company which you referred to was Docomo. He sold it to Docomo.
Docomo, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So his PR exercise is going on today also regarding various scams which he undertakes, and then his PR exercise moves about. And that was seen during the 2G also. And even prior to that, trying to influence Karunanidhi on road.
He paid a bribe. He has escaped from being prosecuted, but he can be prosecuted anytime. There's no time bar in criminal cases. He did, and he has written letters to Karunanidhi praising Raja. Now, the thing is that there's this lady who came from Africa, I think Kenya, she was of Indian origin, called Nira Radia. And she was quite a siren because she first got our civil aviation minister of the BJP government in her pocket. Our friend from Karnataka, whose name I won't take because he's passed away. Then she got hold of Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata has a very bad record of his antics as a homosexual, because the Tata House knows it, that even liftmen were not safe if he went alone with them. with the liftman went along with him. And there was a young boy who he literally raped him. So because he's this high-polluting industrial house, he's got away with it. But Nira Radia's tape, Nira Radia had violated all income tax laws. So there was a case against her, and then the income tax people taped her. And her conversation with Tata is on what? On high national affairs? No. She says, I sent you that young Nepali boy, how was he? And this Tata is describing the thighs of that fellow, his pen, his fingers, all this. I mean, all that on tape. So I was going to publish it. Must have come into Supreme Court and got a stay that interference with internal affairs. Not in internal affairs if you impact the life of people. See? So this is the kind of man he is. Hey, everybody says Tata, yes. More than Jawadi, his father, Jamshedji, he was a great man. He built this steel plant. The British were kept pressing him not to do. But ultimately, he got a chance, and in the name of Swadeshi, he raised all the money within the country. And Jamshedji built a steel plant, which became the cheapest producer of steel in the whole world. This man has no record. He's got a long record of failures. So let him do any propaganda in our country. All kinds of this kind of disinformation goes on. What can we do? If we don't speak, then you're just making it easy for them. So it's like not fighting in the emergency. If we didn't fight, then of course Mrs. Gandhi would have continued for life, and then Sanjay would have come after that, and then their dog would have come after that. They would have taken control of the countries because the underground existed. Some of us frightened the hell out of her. Like I went into Parliament and made a speech and disappeared. Mrs. Gandhi herself told me that the day I decided to hold elections was when you came to Parliament from abroad, and without being arrested, you managed to go out. Then I knew that the underground organization is very strong, and that now it's not safe. So she did get a mandate. She didn't think she would lose, but we lost. So I think today we must raise our voice. It's not a question of my government or government policy. Objecting to it is your national duty. If it's wrong, if it's against their national interest. Otherwise, you see, you will be complicit. And then it's not democracy after that. What's the difference then between Putin and Narendra Modi? So therefore, you have to bring it to their knowledge. Whatever they decide. There are some things I know which I don't use, which I don't make public, because it will damage the party. But to change a policy or to make the government change a policy on the basis of criticism, which are rational and articulate, I think that's your democratic duty. I don't think that can be said. No, that's just kept secret. How can we keep secret? When the national money is going, it's not his personal money. And the nation's resources are being squandered.
Dr. Swamy, I have a question. Air India, since its merger with Indian Airlines, has been bleeding maybe since 2007 onwards. UPA was there, UPA 2 was there, then NDA was there. The policy has not changed over a period of time, and one gets a feeling that there are politicians behind it who have been deliberately damaging the corporation in order to provide benefits to some people, maybe politicians and maybe businessmen. Why
or other airlines
was done in this thing? No investigation.
You see, Etihad, the way they mention the measure traffic in airline industry is the number of seats which the airline flies. See, they don't say go by number of flights, because some planes are big, some planes are small, so they go by seats. In the whole year, Etihad never could exceed 8,000 seats whole year. But the government of India, after they signed the agreement with the Etihad signed the deal with Jet Air, gave them 90,000 seats. That means the entire Dubai, Abu Dhabi, India route is saturated with only flights of Etihad, which don't happen. But they got it in their pocket. It's like, say, having getting a house with 500 acres. You are not going to be able to use their 500 acres, but then you will deny somebody else by getting it. So in none of the other airlines, we have Indian Airlines, which now have started flying slowly. They've started flying abroad, Indigo and Go Airlines, etc. But they don't get that. It's the most profitable route, going to Dubai, and they're not. And we have given these airlines the right to come to Bombay, Calcutta, Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad, and pick up passengers and take them. So when I objected to that, they said, "Well, you can also get it from Dubai, and you can get it from UAE." I said, "How can I get from UAE? I fly to the Abu Dhabi. From there, I can't fly to Dubai. I have to go a bus. It's so close. You see? Whereas here, they can come to Bombay and then hop to Hyderabad, then go to Calcutta, and then go up to Hong Kong." So the way they have squandered our natural resources is unbelievable.
Dr. Swamy, another question coming back to Air India. If you look at even from Praful Patel, I mean, Prakash Javadekar, the current minister, I mean, he had complained about his corruption. But if Praful had created so much of corruption in buying those, you talked about buying the planes that were not needed at all.
Yes.
Nothing has been taken. No action has been taken, and that has triggered the loss slide from Air India to a large extent, buying so many planes that they don't need.
Yeah, I can't do anything about it.
Right. Okay.
First of all, I have limitation of time. You know that I have no resources at all. My time is the only resource I have.
Correct. Yeah,
so I have this case, that case, little case. So now take Praful Patel's case. And so therefore, I think, you see, yes, but he has. There's no question. I gave you the example. You ask the Indigo, and you ask Go Airlines, because I got it from the Airbus company itself. This fact. What price did you pay for the same aircraft, which Air India purchased?
Right.
And it's consistently 20% larger price, higher price for Air India. Why?
So another update on Corona, Dr. Swamy, from the US side of it. We are accelerating even now, but at the end of the day, the vaccines have been started. Yeah, but the vaccines are being put on. So most of the insurance companies are now making it freely available to all its subscribers. So essentially, there is no cost to the vaccine. Second, looks like we will have a few more candidates ready. So maybe February, March, most of us would get it, because they have a way of prioritizing who gets what, who gets it when, rather than things. So hopefully by February, March, most of the Americans who want to have the vaccination can get it done, because obviously there are people who don't want to risk it because it just develops so fast. On the economy side, there is a bill in Congress that they're going to grant more stimulus package to everybody, and they're going to give another $600 to a $900 range to people who are hurting. They're going to directly deposit. And also small businesses, they're going to help them, give them another payroll protection, so that people are not getting fired, so they get paid. So again, that's not direct benefit rather than going through all circuitous route. I mean, reducing the tax on tax, or refund of tax on double tax, or some no jugglery there. So it's a direct thing. I just want to give you an update since you mentioned that what is happening right now. So they're putting up another close to about $600-700 billion package in place. So that way, there'll be some kind of a thing going on.
Yeah. I mean, Americans are taking it hard because they've led a kind of sanitized life, So when they get hit, they get hit hard. Whereas we have been weaned on that atmosphere, and so we have what they call as a herd immunity. But that doesn't mean you flaunt it. You have to have that safeguard of mask and social distancing.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Swamy, you talked about economic impact of corona,
Yes.
GDP going down and growth rate going down. But one industry which has been greatly affected by corona is the education industry.
I know.
Because of colleges, schools closing down, higher education institutions closing down. But one advantage, which is maybe a shadow advantage, which has come is that there is online education. And this online education has brought down the cost of the education also. And I was reading a case where the universities were forced by the court to refund the fees, which they cannot charge because there are no classes physically.
Right.
So, in fact, it's a indirect benefit to consumers. Consumers means those people who are students, and but those people who run these institutions, for them, this is a big loss.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. That's why they were pressing so hard for the exams to take place. But I agree. Even as a politician, I address much larger crowds today without leaving my study. And it's a great, saving on cost, on wear and tear, and so on. So I think we, especially if we master artificial intelligence, we'll have a more comfortable life in the future.
Yeah.
Dr. Swamy, a viewer wants to know what is your alternative plan for Air India?
My plan is that I hope this bidding thing falls through and we go back to renovating Air India. And so there are easy steps to do. If not, I will go to court. I already decided. My papers are all ready. And I also have the backing of the employees who... Backing means that they are parallelly, they have gone and bid. They said, we'll run it. Why you want to give it to some industrial house? We are experienced people. We know what it takes. And they have become a party and they have filed for a bid. So if the government wants to privatize Air India because they don't want to bear the loss, what does it matter if they give to the employees? It's the employees' headache as long as they pay the price. The minimum cut-off price they are ready to pay. So I think anyway, I'm saying that I've got a absolutely watertight case because on one point itself, as the commissioner noted, the Tata house is under the scanner of the CBI and ED. For one of the things is for funding a terrorist or notified terrorists in Dubai to get certain things done. Certain laws to be broken. So therefore, and that's why this Cyrus mystery was thrown out by Tata, because he set up the inquiry. We wouldn't have known about it, but he set up an inquiry and produced a 1,000-page report on Airasia when he was chairman of Tata's. And so immediately, despite announcing a retirement, this Ratan Tata came and he got him sacked. I don't know what the Supreme Court will do. If the Supreme Court reinstates him, then I think all the problems will be solved.
Okay, Arvind.
Okay.
Arvind, your mic is off. Arvind.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for giving us your views and a very carefully done study both on Air India as well as on Corona impact on economy and Indians. Uh, these issues are important. In fact, we are still struggling with Corona, but the figures which you quoted show that India has performed much better in terms of controlling the Corona, in terms of percentage of cases. Also, it is at about 12% cases, but in terms of death, it is much less. So, therefore, I think we must commend the Health Ministry for the excellent work that they have done in controlling. And not only the Central Health Ministry, but many other states also have done a great work in terms of controlling the spread. And we hope there is no second wave or third wave. And as far as the Air India is concerned, I think it is a very important issue, and we can see the way viewers have been writing comments in the chat box and sending the messages. So much concerned about the sale of Air India among the general public, and I think this is very important issue. You have made a case of it that the Tata should be disqualified. Not only the disqualified, even the sale of Air India should be deferred, or maybe it should be attempt should be made to revive it. Thank you very much for giving this important lesson to the policy makers. Thanks, my co-host Jagdish Shetty and Ramesh Swamy. Thanks to the technical team headed by Ashish Shetty, Tejas, Rakesh Gadgi, Swaminathan, and Ishwar Iyer. And we'll be meeting again next Saturday on Legal Gyan Ganga, Legal Words of Wisdom, and also on Sunday with another topic. Till then, thank you. Namaskar.